As you saw through the images on the screen, our state is built on a diverse economy. From agriculture to manufacturing to our high-tech research and banking fields, and of course our strong military presence and travel and tourism. We want to keep our people moving in North Carolina. But all areas of our state are right now facing some serious challenges, and we've got to do everything we can to move these areas and making progress as quick as possible, especially in the areas of jobs. The problem is we right now do not have a long-term strategic transportation policy to connect our strong economic regions to give us the most bang for our limited dollars that we have available. And this is a gap that we're trying to close. In our first 100 days in office, our team is focused on making changes that impact all regions of our state. A focus on the economy, education, and the efficiency of government. We are investing in people, which includes creating jobs and creating better opportunities. Making impactful changes requires strong collaboration of government agencies, not working in silos, but working together for the people of North Carolina. Today's announcement is a perfect example of strong collaboration. And part of that collaboration, I'd like to also recognize the people who are here with the Department of Transportation and their board, if they would please stand. Thank you very much for being here. These are all volunteers working to make us a better state. And let me tell you, transportation has played a crucial role in improving our economy, but there are current limitations right now on how we can fund necessary infrastructure. And we think we can all, as a team, do better than how we're doing at this point in time. As a state, we have struggled to keep pace with the needs of our growing areas and to bring jobs into some of our most economic challenged areas of this state. So right now, it's time to think differently. And I'd like to introduce Transportation Secretary Tony Tata here to introduce a new transportation strategy and funding formula that will help better serve all areas of our state. Secretary Tata, thank you very much for your leadership.
Thank you, Governor, and thanks to the entire team that you mentioned here. It truly has been a team effort, working hard really since January 5th. Everything we do at the Department of Transportation is about improving the quality of life for all North Carolinians. And we're not just moving people, we're connecting them to greater opportunities, jobs, healthcare, education, recreation centers, and we want to get all of our people moving forward. And we are continuing to invest in regions throughout the state, but we have to ask ourselves the question, are we investing in the right way? And the strategic mobility formula that we introduced today addresses this fundamental question and improves our ability to have the highest impact and focus on the greatest needs and better align our infrastructure with commerce, which will increase opportunities for all North Carolinians. So we face a difficult problem, as you can see on the screen. We have a rapidly growing population. We're expecting 1.3 million citizens to come to North Carolina over the next 10 years, and we have a continued decline in revenue, and we're seeing a 1.7 billion decrease in revenue over the next 10 years. So we have to find a more efficient and strategic way to fund, distribute, and prioritize transportation projects that will have the biggest impact statewide, regionally, and locally. And to get into the downward sloping arrow, the decreased revenue projections, our motor fuels tax is declining even when factoring in population growth because vehicles are more fuel efficient. And so we're losing about 2% a year in our revenue. Our Division of Motor Vehicle fees remain flat and unchanged over several years, and our highway use tax revenue, while increasing from the lows during the recession, are still off their pre-recession highs. So all three revenue streams are flat or decreasing or down from previous highs. And so our revenue is declining, yet our infrastructure demands are increasing and continue to grow as North Carolina remains in the top 5 fastest growing states in the nation. This infrastructure gap, as we call it, coupled with our 24-year-old method of distributing transportation funds, demands that we find more efficient methods to focus existing revenues. We can no longer rely on workarounds to address statewide transportation issues, such as was done by creating the Mobility Fund to, in part, fix the Yadkin River Veterans Memorial Bridge on I-85. We believe that the strategic mobility formula provides us an opportunity to better focus the funds that we do have. So our proposal is a tiered 40-40-20 statewide regional division plan. The new formula funds more projects in a more efficient way, allowing us to focus on multimodal infrastructure to create jobs, help boost the economy, and better connect our people. The strategic mobility formula is data and fact-driven to ensure we are investing in the areas with the most pressing needs to reduce travel time, reduce congestion, attract business, enhance safety, and improve the quality of life for all North Carolinians. It allows for more local input and lets all modes compete for funding. The formula benefits people in all regions, better connecting big cities and small towns to healthcare, economic, education, and recreation centers in areas. The strategic mobility formula uses existing funds in a more efficient way and breaks projects down into three categories, as I've mentioned: state, regional, and division. And now I will go into some detail on, for example, at the state level, address statewide and regionally significant congestion and bottlenecks. And all modes will compete: highway and non-highway, rail, port, greenway, etc. And what we see is that over the life of a 10-year plan, it's roughly $15 billion that would be available. And so 40% of that revenue, or about $6.5 billion, would be available for statewide projects over 10 years. And this is 100% data-driven. And the data is benefit cost. Does it reduce travel time, and how much does it cost? Does it reduce existing congestion? Does it increase economic competitiveness? And we've increased the value of economic competitiveness within the criteria, the weight of that criteria. Does that mode carry freight? Is it multimodal? And so this is the statewide tier, which would receive 40% of the funding, and it's 100% data-driven. The regional tier, which will overlap with the state, and the regions are paired divisions. There's 2 divisions per region, 14 divisions, so we have 7 regions. Here you've got statewide and regional tiers that could put projects into this criteria-driven process, but also with a 30% local ranking. And all modes, again, will compete. And so you look at the data, the cost benefit again. Does it reduce travel time? Does it increase connectivity between big cities and small towns and education, economic, healthcare, and recreation centers? Does it increase economic competitiveness? Does it provide more jobs, not only for the project, but does it attract business to the area? And does it enhance safety? And again, 40% of the revenue would be available for the regional projects. So these paired divisions, as you can see them laid out on the slide, would have access over a 10-year period to 40% of the revenue by region, the paired divisions. And we believe that that really overlaps with our economic opportunity zones, as we've been planning with Secretary Decker and her commerce team, as we look at unemployment areas and areas with declining populations, and how we can better incentivize and create catalysts for economic opportunity in those areas and connect those areas. And we believe that this regional tier will significantly enhance that. And the third tier is the division tier, which would receive the remainder of the money split evenly over a 10-year period across all 14 divisions. All tiers and all modes will compete, because ultimately, even if it's a statewide project, it's going to be built somewhere in a division. And And this is where 50-50, the previous tier, the regional tier, had a 70% data, 30% local input. Here we've got 50% data, 50% local input. And so as we think about the criteria, the half that is not local ranking, and the local ranking comes from the MPOs, the RPOs, the metropolitan and rural planning organizations, the division, the board member, and then the criteria would drive the other half of that. And so there's more opportunity for local input into the division, into the regional tiers, and indeed into the state tiers, because anybody can nominate projects. And if the project competes against the criteria, then of course it will be above the line, as we call it, for funding. So that's the plan, is state, regional, and division. And as we look at a comparison between the current plan, the current 10-year plan, we have about 175 projects that are supporting about 174,000 jobs in the current 10-year plan that's on the books today. And that includes bond-funded projects and projects that have overlapped from a previous 10-year plan. And if we roll over and we take a look and we've run the numbers and speculated somewhat on how local regions and divisions would nominate projects, we get to about 260 plus projects. So, an additional 85 plus projects and 240,000 jobs using the same amount of money, just employed differently. And so we really feel that the strategic mobility formula is the right way to move forward, because it helps us address the areas with the most pressing needs. It's data-driven, and it has more local input, so that counties and cities and towns can nominate projects to the statewide tier, the regional tier, to the local tier, and the criteria will tell us where the most pressing needs are. And if we're building in the right areas, if we're building in the correct projects in the right areas, we are going to spur economic growth and enhance our economic ability to recover from this current recession. And we're 2% above the rest of the nation in unemployment. And we believe that this strategic mobility formula will be a big step forward to North Carolina's moving in the right direction to get our people moving forward and reducing unemployment and creating more jobs with more projects. And it's my privilege to work with Secretary Decker and to introduce her as she comes up here to discuss the Commerce Department's involvement. Thank you, Sharon.
I don't think I have to explain to you what a joy it is for the Secretary of Commerce to sit and listen to the Secretary of Transportation talk about creating jobs and growing this economy. This is a team effort, and I'm so grateful, as we have had the chance to work together, to see that the focus of the Department of Transportation and the leadership is on growing this economy again. You know, as I look at businesses across North Carolina, and I look at those that are most successful, so many of the ones who are succeeding today are those who have mastered the art and the science of logistics. They figured out how to move people and products efficiently and effectively in cost-effective ways and in a timely manner, and it gives them a competitive edge to beat out the competition as they gain access to markets. And I want to suggest to you that the same is true for states. And North Carolina, and this decision to create a different approach to building infrastructure, is just that. It's mastering the art and science of logistics. It's moving people and products across this state to give us access to markets, not only in North Carolina, but around this country and around the globe. And working together, we're finding the ways that we can build the infrastructure, build the systems and processes that move people and products in ways that North Carolina is going to achieve the success we dream about and that we're working toward. to grow net jobs in this state at a rate never seen before, and to grow this economy in ways that we'll look back and know that we've left a legacy for our children of a healthy economy and a growing economy that is sustainable for the long haul. But it won't happen without collaboration and a lot of teamwork. I'm proud as I visit around the state to be able to say to folks that we're working together. It's not just an issue of commerce, it's an issue of transportation, it's an issue of our friends in Diener, it's an issue of our friends all over the state government, not operating in silos, but operating as a team. When we sit together at the table, we're talking about how do we grow this economy. Tony mentioned the idea of economic opportunity zones, identifying in this state those places where unemployment has been so stubborn and so immovable, and we can't tolerate it anymore. And it's going to take some transformational thinking, some transformational work, and we're committed as a team to do that. It's my joy and it's my honor to work together with the Secretary in this team effort to make a difference in North Carolina. It is a team effort, and another team leader involved in this process is our President Pro Tem, Senator Phil Berger.
You know, it's a pleasure to be here, and one of the great pleasures is to just firsthand have an opportunity, Governor, to see the team that you've put together. And I think we can all be comfortable that our state is in good hands with Secretary Tata and with Secretary Decker, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here today. We in the Senate commend the Governor and his team for their work on a proposal that continues to emphasize investment in North Carolina's infrastructure needs while addressing some long-standing inefficiencies and challenges within the system. Maintaining and enhancing our transportation infrastructure is a critical priority for North Carolina, particularly at a time when we're looking to make our state a more attractive place to do business. But we must be sure that our process is one that's not political. It should be one that is data-driven, focuses on prioritization, and encourages planning at the regional and local levels, and that's what this plan does. We look forward to partnering with the executive branch to implement reforms that ensure a long-term positive impact on our state's infrastructure. And I'm proud to work with our Senate members and the members of the House of Representatives in moving this plan forward in the General Assembly. And I'm also proud to introduce my partner at the General Assembly, the Speaker of the House, Tom Tillis.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator Berger, Governor, Lieutenant Governor, Secretary Tata, and Secretary Decker. As I was listening to them talk about this plan, I was thinking, I wish we weren't on this stage. I wish we were in front of the dozens of businesses who are thinking about coming to North Carolina and having them represent us. What an extraordinary team the governor has put together to represent the face of North Carolina. When you put quality people like that in front of businesses and you put a plan like what has been presented today in front of businesses, there's no state in the Southeast that's going to be able to beat us. You know, I think this is a historic moment. I've been in the legislature for 7 years. I don't think I can recall a time when the governor has pulled together something like this together, let alone that the governor has done this over 100 days. We've got a plan that makes sense. We've got a plan that virtually doubles the investment over 10 years. We've got a credible plan and a practical plan, an efficient plan that just gets the money to the projects where they're needed most, where they have the greatest economic impact, the greatest impact on congestion, the greatest impact on safety. And the House stands ready to move whatever legislation is necessary to get this plan realized as quickly as possible, because it's an extraordinary benefit for the citizens of North Carolina, for the future of North Carolina, for the businesses that want to move here. I want to applaud the governor and the secretaries. I appreciate the work that Senator Berger, my friend, is doing in the Senate, and we stand ready to get this thing going. Thank you.
Now the hard work begins. Hard work for those of you in the front row, the hard work for the DOT board, and the hard work for this team. Because we now have to convey this message and convey this vision and convey this strategy, not only inside the Beltline here in Raleigh, to our colleagues and our public servants, but to North Carolina. Because we're changing things. We're changing things the way they've been done for well over 20 to 30 years. And with change, you have to be able to convince the people that this is a good strategic long-term plan, which is going to benefit our state and which is going to increase jobs in North Carolina for the next generation, not just this generation. We're talking long-term right now. The other part of our work is this is not the only step that we can take. During the next year or two, we're going to be developing more proposals to implement a 25-year transportation plan and to connect all areas of our state, not only within the state, but also important economic partners outside of our state across the borders in Tennessee, Virginia, and South Carolina. This is part of a plan in which we're talking about all modes of transportation, our ports, our airports, our rail, our highways. These are all integrated into one approach. And this is the beginning of that approach. And it's also the beginning of a connectivity. Instead of having point-by-point projects that we have many of, many great projects across the state, but we can't afford where we have projects that don't connect to anything anymore. And that doesn't have a long-term vision in trying to connect economic centers across our state with areas with great potential to create jobs. And this is something we're going to be selling to both current investors in the state and current industry and a new industry right now. One thing I learned as a mayor is you sell your vision to people who are planning to invest in this state for the next 50 to 100 years. This is just the beginning of that process. So I just want to tell all of you in this audience who are interested in transportation and jobs is you can't succeed with just holding a press conference or holding an announcement. Now it's our job to get out and work for it and convince people that this is a good long-term plan and to get input on this plan. And this is the beginning of that process. And I appreciate the leadership in the House and Senate. I appreciate the Lieutenant Governor being a part of this. And I would especially like to thank our team of cabinet officials who are working together. I'm proud of this team. And I broke a rule today never to share a stage with these two people because they're so good. But I'm proud of this team. And you can see that they were given the directive to think out of the box and think long term. In a short 100 days, they've done just that. And not only that, but they've helped form coalitions with other people, especially on the legislative side, who want to accomplish the same goals. We're going to be available for media interviews after this. Any of the people on stage or the legislators or member of the DOT will be available for questions and answers one-on-one because we want to clearly communicate this vision and this strategy and any other further details that we need to make sure we implement in the right way. Let's continue to move ahead. That's our goal. Thank you, and God bless each one of you.